Hello there, folks. We are at a very interesting turning point in the United Football League history between me, you, Mike Rapoli, Louisville, Columbus, Orlando. There's a lot going on, and I, UFL Jim, am here to help you make sense of where we are as a spring football society. This is the UFL State of the Union.
Hey, we are united with the Football League. It's got Stallions, Avias, new teams, Kings, Storm. You know how it is. We got snakes. You want to feed them. We're united in the Football League. It's big energy. We got plays that are flying high. We're innovative. We're fun. You can see more. You can feel more. We got new teams. We got new stadiums. We got new everything. This is just the beginning. People.
State of the Union, what are we covering? There's a lot to go over. A lot has happened since I spoke to you last about the UFL. I'm going to hit you with a lot. So there's going to be a championship recap. There's going to be a season recap. There's going to be saying goodbye to our dear friends XFL and USFL Jim. There's going to be takes on what is happening, the changes going on right now at this moment, a review of Mike Rapoli, maybe a little investigation by investigator Jim, and of course a look to next season and the seasons beyond. Now, rewind with me as we take a look back at the 2025 UFL Championship. You have to look back sometimes to look forward. I was there in St. Louis. I was there for both UFL Championship games, and let me tell you, this year was a little bit different. Something just felt weird. Something felt off. It didn't feel like, obviously in 2024 we had a new feeling. We had a new league. We had the combination happening. This was the first year of everything sort of staying the same and seeing if we can carry on momentum. And I don't know, we felt it for most of the season. Something just felt off. And there wasn't, like, you thought there wasn't very many people at the championship game in the inaugural UFL season. Man, there was nobody there. I still had fun. I still had a blast. I still recommended it. I like St. Louis, but nobody showed up. Let's take a look for each team. So we had the Panthers, we had the Defenders. For the Panthers, they came out hot. They came out firing. They looked good. The defense just crumbled as the game went on. I've never seen a team potentially have a worse middle 12 sort of situation as I saw with the Michigan Panthers. Basically, the last 6 minutes of the first half and the first 6 minutes of the second half, just dead. Long touchdown by DC. Killed this Panthers team. They still got desperate. They still tried to make some things happen, but they were never winning this game. For the DC Defenders, congrats on the win first off. And they just came out, punch, dick kick, and they were just all over the Panthers. They couldn't do anything to stop this Defenders team. Jordan Ta'amu wins the big one. He goes out a champion, and the Defenders hoist. They host a parade, I hoped. I think they did. I don't remember. It's been so long since the championship game. And they hoisted the trophy. That's the important thing. It was just, what a great season for the Defenders. What an awesome season, even for the Panthers. Even though you didn't win, what an awesome season, to be honest. And now we move on to taking a look back at the 2025 UFL season as a whole. I have a list of takes. That were given to me by people online that I'm going to address one by one. But also I have some of my own. Namely, this was the highest level of football, the actual on-field product that we have seen in a spring league to date. Easily, in my opinion. The parity that we saw, the level from teams like the Defenders, the comeback of the Stallions, the Panthers, even bad teams like the Renegades. were still good in comparison to years prior. And I feel like that is something you can't even really question. Another thing from this season was that the media coverage, the outreach of the league, and the social media just felt off. It felt weird. It felt not polished. Years prior, even just 1 year prior in 2024, we had teams spatting at each other. We had fun jabs from one team account to another team account. We had fun memes. And that just seemed to be missing this last season of the UFL. And I understand they let a bunch of people go, but it just felt weird. The whole season felt off. It didn't feel like worrying. It didn't feel depressed, but it felt very weird and off. And I that needs to be addressed. There was a lot of chaos early on with coaches leaving, with the quarterbacks holding out. This early part of the UFL season had a lot of chaos going along with it. And I feel like to some extent that probably built into the weird vibes and whatnot we had going on this season. And I know talking with people that for a casual, like the only thing that a lot of people see when discussing the UFL were the quarterbacks holding out or were coaches leaving for new jobs a week, 2 weeks before the season even begins. Skip Holtz, by the way, legend. That this season confirms Skip Holtz as the greatest spring football coach of all time. What he did with the injuries that he was given, especially at the quarterback position in 2025, should be written about for generations. The DC storyline also. Oh my God. This is what makes spring football so amazing. The crazy storylines and how close we can feel to some of these things. The Jordan Ta'amu redemption arc. He finally gets it. He's been in the spring football stratosphere, the zeitgeist, for literally almost half a decade now. And he finally gets his championship. Beautiful. And again, with the coaching situation in DC, just it's a perfect underdog story. And if you don't love that, you don't love football, you don't love springtime, and you don't love the United States of America. You don't love humanity. If you don't love the DC Defender story, you don't love humanity. Now, other takes that I have. I feel like the season should start earlier. I've discussed this with XFL Jim. I've discussed this with Uncle Rico. I've discussed this with many people that I feel like the UFL season should start earlier. Personally, I would start it in February. I would start it while it's still pretty cold out. Maybe you get a snow game in a market like now we have Ohio, we had Michigan before. Maybe you get some snow games, maybe you get some weird stuff. But also when you have so many teams that are playing in like Texas and now Florida and Alabama, it just once you start so late, the deeper into summer you get, these places get so hot that it just becomes so difficult to get the crowds that you want to see that late into the season. I also want to see from the UFL, based on I'm in the headspace right now of nothing changed with the league. Rapoli doesn't step in, but like right after 2025, I want to see the league embrace change. Do something different. Don't play up to a feeder developmental league mentality. And I don't know, the UFL so far has not had an identity. They've been kind of like mixing and mushing. Like the USFL had an identity. I still believe the XFL in 2023 had an identity. The UFL has been lacking an identity for 2 seasons now. And that's something that definitely drastically needs to change. And I feel like my final take was that drama dominated the headlines of the UFL. Anytime you saw a major news organization report on this league, it was something negative, something to do with drama. It was the quarterbacks holding out. It was coaches leaving. It was people being sick. It was the league not doing well on TV or financially, whatever. But the only time organizations like ESPN, who has a stake in the league, talked about the UFL, it was always negative, and that just it irks me. I need to see better. I need to see some positivity from the big boys, from the Foxes, from the ESPNs, from everyone. I want to see the league itself push a more positive narrative out there in the zeitgeist. Okay, here's some takes that I got from Reddit and Twitter. We're going to go through a couple of these in no particular order. Birmingham four-peats if Matt Corral is healthy for the whole season. Maybe. I just don't think Corral was. I think we've seen enough Matt Corral. We saw him last year. That I don't know if Birmingham definitely four-peats. I feel like DC was just on such a tear. Their offense was operating at such a high level. I don't know if anyone was going to catch them. Mobile quarterbacks dominate for teams in the UFL. I feel like the UFL in that regard is closer to college, where you can still have a guy that is shifty enough that he can make some things happen and extend plays that you don't see in the NFL as often, with the such elite power of the defensive lines. And with the offensive line play in the UFL, you need a guy that can kind of escape pressure. So I think mobile quarterbacks are probably still going to continue in this league to dominate. Arlington needs a new OC. I would argue you could argue that Arlington needs a whole redone coaching staff. Bob Stoops has kind of been treating this like retirement for years and years now. And don't get me wrong, I like him. He's funny. He's good to have in the league. But I don't know. Obviously, his heart's not in it. He's just kind of going through the motions. So you could argue they need a whole shakeup. Perez should switch teams. Disagree. Love him in Arlington. He's fun. He's got the team. He's got the vibes. I feel like this is his spot. This is where he's the most comfortable. He's finally on a team that he's been with for multiple seasons. Battlehawks would have made it if Manny Wilkins didn't get hurt. I don't know about that one. I feel like he still didn't have the capability as a passer that you want to see. I obviously think they would have done better because we saw what it was up with Max Duggan. I feel like Wilkins was better than Duggan, but I just don't know if he was fully there as a passer to get past what DC was putting out there. Put every team in one single division. Guess what? That's what they did. Good job. You called it. I like that take too. Obviously, if they would have kept the XFL, USFL divisions and conferences, that would be something I personally like, but I understand why they did. And we'll get into more of that later. League cannot promote themselves. That's just a fact. That is a fact that is undisputable. This league did such a poor job of promoting itself that I was surprised. A lot of this stuff seems so basic and seems so easy to do. Just talk about yourselves and have professional quality content out there on social media. And this league failed in that regard. League should move on from Perez. You could argue yes, and I know Rapoli talked about having this league be more of a developmental deal and have younger guys in here. Maybe, I don't think they should though. I think having guys that are quote unquote stars in your league is such a powerful tool for a league like the UFL that I feel like if you have these guys that play at a pretty decent level and become names for your league, for the team like the Renegades, a guy like Perez, a guy like Tamu, you want those guys around. I'll go into full on depth later, but I disagree here. Memphis is a coach away. Apparently not. Apparently they're a whole market away now. They're going to be a whole state away now. Uptick in Panthers attention, malaise everywhere else. Didn't matter. Ford Field just made the Panthers unattainable, and Rapoli was just nope, you're out. They probably could have done a bunch more, but dunzo there. Beck doesn't have killer instinct. I feel like you could definitely. Anthony Becht is like maybe he's the Mario Cristobal of the UFL, where he just has like every year we have looked at in the XFL and now the UFL twice. Anthony Becht has walked in with one of the top rosters, and I understand there was quarterback injury going on, and I understand they had a whole like slew of issues there this season. But year in and year out, he continually disappoints, and I obviously no one's getting fired. And I love the guy because he's one of the you could tell he's passionate about this league and the players and about getting it done. And he's someone the personality of Anthony Becht is someone that we want to have. But maybe he just doesn't have that fire, that killer instinct to make it over the hump. I don't know. Battlehawks didn't have enough home games. I would argue they had maybe too many, possibly. They got an extra home game this season. And the issue with the Battlehawks for me, obviously you want to show them off. They have the biggest crowd. They have like the largest attendance and it looks the best on TV. But the issue with the Battlehawks is like you're trying to milk them too much where you're not giving enough bang for your buck when you're giving these tickets away. And I feel like that's St. Louis by itself is getting disserviced by what you're trying to do with the Battlehawks. And like, you gotta charge cheaper tickets. You can't just charge them whatever price because you're gonna milk this market dry. Time to move Memphis and Houston. Well, 50-50 there. Stallions lose more if Magoo doesn't go down. He did not look great in his couple of starts. I want to be honest. Came in late, looked a little rough. Didn't like what I saw out of Mr. Magoo at all. Give Ohio some love. Put a team in Columbus. Boom. Boom. Done. Done. You're welcome. Done. Now I want to take a look at 3 different aspects of the 2025 UFL season. The good, the bad, and the ugly. Let's start off with the good. The rise of Houston. Houston had shots late into the season. I thought C.J. Johnson was a joke, was the worst coach in the league, was like not even a real coach, if you know what I'm saying. And what he did at the end of the season, finding Jalen McClendon and making that run and having fun. Like, this was a fun team for the last half of the season. That was a great thing to watch. Houston has been down in the dumps now for a year and a half, and the fact that they made this happen and were fun and exciting, that was great. Growth of the fan base online. This was all natural. The league basically had nothing to do with this, but it felt like so many more accounts, whether it's Twitter, YouTube, Reddit, it felt like fan engagement with each other and just the community in spring football online grew a tremendous amount from 2024 to 2025. I got to meet and interact with so many great people in St. Louis online in spaces, and that was one of the top aspects of the last season for me personally. I don't know if it's an accurate view of the league itself as a whole, but the space online was just the bad. Still felt like a rush to get to the season. It felt like we had little to no information, no one talking about anything, and then all of a sudden, hey guys, the season's here, you're playing next week, all the chaos right before week 1, the talks with the unions, the quarterbacks holding out, quote unquote, and just coaches leaving. It felt Bush League, it felt mismanaged, and it felt like this was the only thing people were talking about, and it's still stuff. It was tough. It was a stressful way to start the season. Game day environments in person, they don't feel special. They did not feel special this year. It felt like they weren't really putting an effort in to get people in the seats. The tickets weren't cheap. What you got for your tickets wasn't worth what you were paying, and it just wasn't worth what the UFL was putting out. And I thought it was an excellent product, but you can't expect people to be paying like hundreds of dollars for a family of 4 to go to a UFL game for one game is ridiculous. I'm sorry, it just is. The lack of local grassroots promotion and marketing, people have been hammering on this. They were awful at this. That needs to change, but it did not change this season. Social team, again, it felt off. It felt weird. It felt gross all season. Didn't have a good plan for both conference championship games because, as you guys know, the Defenders and the Battlehawks won the XFL conference in the regular season, but the Panthers won in the USFL. Well, guess what? It didn't matter. The XFL conference was always going to be playing in St. Louis, and the USFL conference was always going to be played in Birmingham, no matter what happened. Didn't have a plan of attack there. Didn't have any idea of what to do. Planning. So much was up in the big ivory towers. That's what was wrong with this league. Getting shoved off channels multiple times really sucked. Whether it was for some like NBA, not even an NBA game, but like an NBA preview show, forget it. Sorry, no. Getting shoved off channels really hurt. And then the multi-stream, like double play, it happened twice where like 2 games were happening simultaneously at the same time, both on Fox, so only people could watch one game in a certain market versus another. In a league this size, I hate that. I hated that. That pissed me off so much. And then the ugly for the UFL, the play of the San Antonio Brahmas. From making the championship game, having one of the most interesting and fun offenses and a really great defense, to having the worst defense and a bland, boring, putrid offense. Ugly. The play of the Memphis Showboats. It was just sad. It made me sad to watch Memphis, and I don't like to be sad watching football. Arlington Renegades' inability to win a game. They were in so many games, and they just continually found ways to lose. That was ugly. Max Duggan's throwing motion. Ugly. Just ugly. And then the quarterback situation in Birmingham until J.M.R. Smith got there. That was ugly. It was not fun. It was not a good time to be a Birmingham Stallions quarterback. You were just probably going to get hurt. That's just what was going on. My final thoughts, looking back at the past of the UFL, the past 2 seasons. There was a lot of momentum of the USFL and the XFL combining into one, and that pumped up 2024. The vibes were great. We forgave a lot. And then this year, going into year 2, there seemed to be like a radio silence in the offseason that felt worrying. We were worried about Michigan. We were worried about the Union. There was a lot of just like, And then during the season, the vibes were just weird, off, and I don't know. It was, and at the end of the season, I don't know if the vibes could have been lower. As good as the championship game went, things felt very off. We thought we were going to lose the Stallions. We thought we were going to lose the Panthers. We knew we were going to lose Memphis. We thought we were going to lose Houston. And we end up losing 3 markets for teams that we knew about. And things felt weird. 2025 was very fun. I had a blast. I love the football. But this season in particular highlighted exactly what is wrong with the UFL and what needs to change going forward. Now we move into the here and now, where one Mike Rapoli has entered the fray of the United Football League. He joins as new ownership, new blood, new energy, and he's making changes lickety frickin' split, folks. We already have 3 teams gone, 3 teams added, quote unquote, and I'd say 2 teams rebranded. So we have gone the Memphis Showboats, Michigan Panthers, San Antonio Brahmas. Gone. Rebranded, we have the Arlington Renegades and the Houston Roughnecks. So, added, we have the Orlando Storm, Louisville Kings, and the Columbus Aviators. And then, obviously, we have a return to the Dallas Renegades and a return to the Houston Gamblers, albeit with a new logo that I don't hate, but it's still not as good as the old one. So we still keep the 8 markets. We keep that going. And it sucks for fans of especially San Antonio and Michigan, where I know for a fact that the fan base in both those markets were dedicated, were there, and we're going to show up. But just he's coming in, he's pushing things around, he's doing things his way. I actually had Investigator Jim take a look at Mr. Mike Rapoli and get a deep dive in on him. Here's Investigator Jim's little deep dive. When nothing seems to be clear, when no questions are being answered, one man is here to answer the call. The question on this episode of Investigator Jim: who is Mike Rapoli? Horse entrepreneur, water enthusiast, spring football commissioner. Investigator Jim is here to get down into the depths and uncover exactly who or what or when or why is Mike Mr. Rapoli. When Investigator Jim is on the case, no one will have answers. It was also announced with the addition of the Storm, Kings, and Aviators and the departure of the Panthers, Brahmas, and Showboats that the UFL would be moving forward without conferences, without the XFL and USFL divisions. They are disbanding those and creating just one conference, one set of playoffs where the 4 best teams make it. And of course, that means that we must say farewell to both XFL Jim and USFL Jim. Here's their message. Now, it's been a long 3-4 years, 3.5 really, of existence. And I just want to say I've treasured every single moment that I got to experience USFL football with all of you out there. The USFL came to us in a time of need, a time of desperation, and filled the spring football gap after the plague wiped it all off of the planet. When the XFL in 2023, coined by The Rock, Danny Garcia, Redbird Capital, came to be, I was born. I felt fresh, I felt new, I felt exciting. Life had meaning. And getting to partner with this gym in the United Football League for the last 2 years has been nothing short of incredible. Getting to experience a whole new level of fan base, the rivalry, the passion, the hate, honestly, also, it's been a special thing. With us going away, though, that also goes away to an extent. Now, we'll have a longer, quote-unquote, going-away party in the future, but I just want to let you guys know we're still not going to completely disappear. We're not retiring. We will still be around, just not all the time. With the disappearance of the USFL conference and the XFL conference, I think we're going to take some time back, work on ourselves, and probably in the next few weeks give thanks to both the XFL and the USFL. Yes, we're not disappearing by any means. We are here. We're going to be around. We are part of the Gymiverse. We're part of the lifeblood of what makes a gym a gym. But we're not going to be in every video occurrence. We're not going to be in every day occurrence. It'll be explained. Everything will make sense eventually. But for now, we are going to step back. We're going to come out with a video, of course, giving full thanks to both his league and the far superior XFL. So stay tuned for that, but we'll be around. Thanks, guys. Really going to miss you. Of course, they're not gone for good. They'll be around, but it just won't be the same. But like the phoenix rising from the ashes, we must become born anew and venture forth into this new world of UFL. Moving on to more of the what's happening in the now, the here and now of the UFL. Mike Rapoli comes in, lots of changes. He's done press conference after press conference. He's bringing in a newfound energy into the UFL. He's getting people excited. He's getting the blood pumping again. And shout out to Mike. Mike Rapoli has done more marketing, has put in more effort, has shown his face representing more in like 3 weeks than Dwayne The Rock Johnson has done for a league he apparently is part owner of in 2.5 freaking years. And shout out Mike Rapoli just for doing that. So we have the new markets. We have Columbus, we have Louisville, and we have Orlando. Quick takes on each one. We don't know which rosters of the teams being relocated will go to which one. So that determines basically on how I feel on a lot of them. But just on the branding and the cities themselves, I like going back to Orlando potentially. I like the fact that they didn't stick with the Guardians colors just because I feel like that would leave a bad taste in everybody's mouth. I like the logo. I like the Storm. I like getting some more orange and whatnot. The color scheme similar to what the Maulers were rolling with in 2022. But I feel like it works a little bit better. I'll need to see the uniforms to fully have an opinion. For the Kings, don't like the colors on the logo. Maybe I'll like them on a jersey. But also, it looks too similar to DraftKings. And I know Mike Rapoli loves Louisville. I know he loves horses. But we don't really need 2 horse-based teams in an 8-team league, if I'm being honest. And for the city itself, I love getting a team in Louisville. They probably flock to supporting professional sports. They don't have any like pro football teams of their own. They don't have any NFL teams. And I like getting that. I like putting a team in a state like Kentucky. It worked early on with Birmingham and Alabama, and I think it can work with Kentucky. Now, for Columbus, yes, a giant college town. You're playing when obviously when Ohio State's not playing. I love seeing that. I love the move there, especially if you can get some Ohio State guys. You can get fans of the college excited to go out and watch the Aviators play. Love the color scheme, love everything like that. I love getting a team in Columbus. Just he also announced some of these teams moving to stadiums, so now we have the Columbus Aviators in Historic Crew Stadium, seating about 20,000. Lynn Family Stadium for Louisville, seating about 15,000. Interco Stadium in Orlando for the Storm, seating about 25,000, a little over that, 25,500. Dallas, the Renegades, moving to Frisco to Toyota Stadium, 22,500. I like how the Dallas Renegades, not even playing really in Dallas, but they never really have. Houston, Shell Energy Stadium, 23,000. DC, still Audi Field, 20,000. And then you have Birmingham and St. Louis as the big jump. So obviously Protective in Birmingham, 47,000. And then the Dome, you have 66,000. So obviously, Rapoli comes in. He wants MLS stadiums. He wants these smaller stadiums because what does he preach more than anything? That the TV product, when you see barely anyone in the stands, is not good to watch. And I agree 100%. Especially early on in this league, you need stadiums that even if you can get like 11,000, 12,000, and at most like 15, 17,000 for a lot of these teams. The max you're going to be getting is like 15, 17,000. You're going to love that to see these teams. Well, it looks great in a field like Audi, but when like the Michigan Panthers are getting 14, 15, 17,000 people, it looked rough in Ford Field. Obviously, you love it for markets, but it's just you need the venue to kind of support it. So, Birmingham, you saved your stadium, you saved your team. This is a big year. This is like a put-up year because they're going to be looking to move you. They're going to be looking long and hard. And I would hate it. I'd be very upset. You can't move a 3-time champion, but they're going to find ways. Another thing that he has addressed is the league getting all new uniforms. Does this mean, theoretically, that the deal with Under Armour is out? Is the deal now with Rapoli's clothing brand going to be in? Probably. He's probably just trying to, he's got to make his buck off this too. And he has said the right things. He has stated that they are committed to more grassroots, more local representation. They want to do a similar system that the AAF have had, and obviously it's not going to be 1-to-1, but it's going to be similar. And they want to get kids from around the area that went to college in the area. So like if you're the Renegades and the Roughnecks, kids that went to like Texas, Texas A&M, Texas Tech, Aviators, Ohio State, they want to get players from around the area on your team as much as possible. That's going to be a quick way to get people invested. I like that. I definitely don't hate that, but you need to find a way to balance it out for all the teams. I do like the elimination. If you're eliminating the XFL and the USFL, don't put any new conferences in. I like the fact that it's just the best 4 teams make the playoffs. I'm fine with that. Schedule balancing, whatever, quote unquote, it doesn't bother me. Everyone's going to play everyone at least once. However you split up the 2 times is fine with me. And then he's looking to the future. He talked potential expansion. He wants 2 teams every 2 years. So in 10 years, he said, if we don't have 16 teams, he will take that as a personal disappointment. I will also take that as a disappointment on your part. If you're putting that out there, I'm going to take that as a disappointment on you too, because that will get me so hard that I won't be able to come down for like days. And in the negative, I'm not going to go all sunshine and roses on Mike Rapoli. There's 2 things in the negative. One's a minor, one's sort of a major for me. In the minor, in 2026, we're going to be starting March 27th, the same time that we started the last season. And you know how I feel. Start the season earlier. Get there earlier, especially for these warmer markets. I just feel like it's a detriment to getting people to go to the games when you start so late and you're getting these people trying to get them out in like late April, May, even parts of June. It's so hot. It's so hard. And I get people would argue if you start in February that you're going against March Madness for a decent chunk of the season. But no matter what, you're going to be going against something. Either you're going against that, you're going against the NBA playoffs, you're going against the NHL playoffs. You're going to be battling something during the season. And I don't know. I think the starting right after football, carrying that momentum, is a powerful factor. And then finally, it sounds like Mike Rapoli is really trying to push the UFL as a developmental feeder league for the NFL. He stated that if you're in this league for 5 years, you should probably look into coaching or in media. Don't love that. I feel like you want to market your league as something distinct, as something individual. Yes, you are trying to get players to the NFL. Yes, you want to use that as a marketing tool. Yes, you want to show players that this is a viable option to getting to the NFL because that's where they're going to get paid. That's where they're going to have a shot at like life-changing money and crazy success. But you also have to take into account that you can build stars in a league like the UFL. You can have guys that this is their level. This is where they're playing. This is where they belong. And they could be stars. They could be consistent players in your league and make things happen. And you can have vibes. You can have your own personality. You don't need to be bowing down and just be a minor league for the NFL. I don't think that's how you get people excited to watch football. I don't think, especially on TV, I don't think you get people excited to tune in to a UFL game if you're just saying, oh, you can watch these guys try and vie for the NFL and just be like a straight up minor league. I don't think that's what you do. And that would piss me off if the UFL fully goes in to like embracing this developmental minor league role. Would not make me happy whatsoever. Of course, now we take a quick look towards 2026. March 27th will be the start date, but there's still so much left up in the air. Which coaching staffs and teams and players end up in which new markets from the Showboats, from the Panthers, and from the Brahmas. What free agency does to shake up the league this season as we have our first full-on, no-holds-bar free agency. I'm very excited to see where a lot of guys end up. I'm going to do a full analysis once free agency is like all the way done. Go follow James Larson. He's like all over this crap for free agency. He's killing it on that. And then, do we see any more trophies from making the playoffs without the conference championship game? Do we see any playoff trophies? Like, do we just get rid of the XFL and USFL trophies? Are those just like in a museum somewhere? I would love to get one, but I have questions for that. Where will the championship game be played? Are they going to go to St. Louis a third time? And honestly, if you're looking at optics, if you're looking at crowds and stuff like that, I feel like you can't go back to St. Louis because you always run the risk of, guess what? The Battlehawks don't make the championship game, and then you have a terrible crowd. So I don't know where you go. Canton's not a bad idea. But lots of questions still left. And then I'm waiting and seeing. I am hopeful for this new wave of the UFL, but I am tentatively waiting to see, do they do the grassroots stuff? How does this team market itself? What does the social media look like? So far, social media has been excellent. I love the new accounts for the teams. Mike Rapoli has been excellent going on all of these broadcasts, getting the word out there. I love that he's pushing it. I love seeing that. And we don't know about the grassroots stuff because obviously we don't have anything in place as of yet. But I like what he said. Now you just need to show it. 2026 is going to be a major, major, major year, not just for the UFL, but for spring football as a whole. Now, looking for the future of the league in totality. As the gym of this league, as the United Football League gym, I always am looking towards the future. We need slow and steady expansion. I believe 2 teams every 2 years. That's steady. That's pretty quick, but that is steady. Maybe maxing out at like 16 teams is fine. I don't think you want to get in a league like the UFL. You really don't want to get to like 20, 30 teams. Then you just get such a dilution of talent, and it's tough. There's 16 might even be too much, but it's just like that's like the top of what I'd be feeling. I need to see growth in the broadcasters of Fox, ESPN. The broadcasts themselves, hit and miss. There's a lot that I like, a couple things I don't like, but I'm going to go with the straight positive. Maybe you can slowly implement members and place members, like past members in these other leagues for eventual world domination. You get a UFL player in the CFL here and the NFL there. Get them over in the X League. Get them over in the, well, not the ELF now, but whatever European leagues playing football. You just kind of sprinkle them all throughout the world. Maybe some office people, you get them in all these leagues. And just slowly but surely, the UFL can unite everybody under its umbrella in world domination of football. I would also keep changing the rules a little bit, little tweak here and there. I'd go back to the old kickoff. I'd go back to the USFL style kickoff. Just do it. I want to see it, please. And then I just want to kind of everything absorbs into the UFL. That's what I want to see. I want to see the UFL dominating the world. That's my one true goal in life. And hopefully 2026 puts us on that path. Now, in conclusion, yes, the UFL could have done much, much better on a lot of things that weren't the actual football being played. I think, without a doubt, from all the spring football that's been played, the 2025 UFL season had the highest level of play easily, in my opinion. But there was so much more that could have been fixed. So much more that still needs to be fixed. So much more that we need to see improvement on in 2026, 2027, and hopefully the future as a whole. I have a lot of takes that I'm going to keep firing off. I'm going to hope and put my faith in Mike Rapoli and this league to hopefully give us a product that exceeds our expectations. To To my brothers and sisters and everyone that were fans of the Michigan Panthers, the San Antonio Brahmas, and the Memphis Showboats, my heart breaks for you. But as UFL lovers, as spring football lovers, I wish we can all come together and root for the success of the UFL for many years to come, because if there's one thing that I friggin' love, is football being played in the spring. Come on!